Emily stared at the screen, mesmerized. Serena's life, perfectly curated and filtered, glowed back at her. Each image, each caption, fueled a growing hunger within Emily. A hunger for a life she couldn't have, a life that seemed to belong to Serena. The photos of exotic vacations, the candid moments with friends, the seemingly effortless beauty, all of it was a stark reminder of what Emily felt she was missing. She couldn't help but compare her mundane reality to Serena's vibrant existence. The more she scrolled, the deeper she fell into the abyss of envy and longing.
It started innocently, a comment here, a like there. Emily lost herself in the digital illusion, Serena's seemingly perfect world, a stark contrast to her own. But Emily's admiration soon morphed into something darker, something all-consuming. She began to spend hours analyzing Serena's posts, trying to decipher the secret to her happiness. Emily's own life began to feel increasingly inadequate. She started to neglect her own friends and hobbies, her thoughts consumed by Serena's online presence. The line between admiration and obsession blurred, and Emily found herself trapped in a cycle of comparison and despair. She knew she needed to break free, but the glowing screen held her captive, a constant reminder of the life she yearned for but could never attain.
Serena barely noticed Emily at first. Another name in a sea of faces, another notification flashing across her screen. Yet Emily's comments grew bolder, her presence more constant. A seed of unease began to sprout in Serena's mind. It started with simple compliments, "Love your content," or "You're amazing." But soon, Emily's words became more personal, more invasive. "I feel like I know you," she wrote one day. "We have so much in common." Serena hesitated, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. She decided not to respond, hoping Emily would lose interest. But Emily didn't. Instead, her comments became more frequent, more insistent. "Why don't you ever reply to me?" she asked. "I thought we were friends."
There was an intensity to Emily's words, a desperation that set her apart from the casual observer. Serena brushed it off initially, the price of online popularity, she thought, but deep down a shiver of apprehension ran down her spine. She began to notice Emily's username everywhere, on her posts, in her live streams, even in the comments of other people's content. It was as if Emily was always watching, always waiting for a chance to interact. Serena's friends started to notice too. "Who's this Emily person?" they asked. "She's kind of intense." Serena laughed it off, but the unease grew. She started to feel like she was being watched, even when she was offline. The feeling was hard to shake, a constant presence in the back of her mind. She began to double-check her privacy settings, making sure her personal information was secure. But no matter what she did, Emily's comments kept coming, each one a reminder that she was never truly alone.
Emily's world contracted, shrinking down to the size of her phone screen. Serena's life became her own. Every detail meticulously catalogued, every update a lifeline. The line between reality and fantasy blurred.
She knew Serena's routines, her favorite cafes, the park she walked her dog in. Emily began to appear in these places, a silent shadow lurking at the edges of Serena's life. It was exhilarating and terrifying, the power she felt, the control she craved.
Serena's initial disquiet turned to full-blown fear. Gifts started arriving, strange and unsolicited. A scarf in her favorite color, a book she had mentioned wanting to read. Each item felt heavy with unspoken intent, a tangible reminder of the eyes that followed her.
She tried to rationalize it, to tell herself it was just a harmless admirer. But the fear gnawed at her, twisting her insides. Her once carefree life now felt shadowed, stalked by an unseen presence. Sleep became a luxury Serena could no longer afford. Every creak of the floorboard, every rustle outside her window, sent her pulse racing. She installed security cameras, double-checked her locks, but the fear remained, a constant companion.
My world, once open and vibrant, has shrunk to the confines of my apartment. The fear, once a whisper, is now a scream in my ears. Emily is closing in, and I am trapped.
One evening, while walking her dog, Serena saw her, a fleeting glimpse, a figure half hidden in the shadows across the street. The fear that had been simmering within her erupted cold and paralyzing.
I couldn't be sure it was Emily, but the doubt is a monster, whispering possibilities in my ear. The incident, though brief, shattered my composure, leaving me raw and vulnerable. Desperate, I confided in a friend, my voice trembling as I recounted the escalating events.
But her concerns were met with dismissive reassurances.
It's probably nothing, they said, just a fan.
Their words, meant to comfort, felt like paper shields against a hurricane. She was alone, adrift in a sea of fear, her pleas for help swallowed by the vast indifference of the internet. Emily's online persona began to crack. The once adoring comments turned possessive, tinged with a disturbing sense of entitlement.
When Serena posted a picture with a friend, Emily's jealousy spilled onto the comments section, vicious and uncontrolled.
The mask of fan had slipped, revealing the obsession festering beneath. It was a chilling display, a public declaration of Emily's twisted affection.
Serena, horrified, finally understood the danger she was in.
The inevitable arrived on a night thick with fog, the air heavy with premonition. Emily stood outside Serena's door, her face illuminated by the eerie glow of her phone.
"We need to talk," Emily said, her voice a strained whisper.
Serena's breath caught in her throat, her body trembling with terror. The moment she had dreaded, had tried to outrun, had finally arrived. The details of that night remained a blur, a nightmare etched into Serena's memory. She could still feel the cold air, the eerie silence that was only broken by the distant sound of a dog barking. The moon was hidden behind thick clouds, casting an ominous shadow over everything. Serena's heart raced as she tried to piece together the fragments of that fateful night. Every time she closed her eyes, the same haunting images replayed, refusing to let her find peace. Screams lost in the fog, a struggle, the glint of something sharp. The fog seemed to swallow the sounds, making them feel distant and surreal. Serena remembered the feeling of helplessness, the desperate attempts to fight back, and the cold metallic glint of the object that changed everything. It was a night that would forever be etched in her mind, a night that marked the beginning of her descent into a world of fear and uncertainty.
When the police arrived, alerted by terrified neighbors, Emily was gone. The room was eerily silent, the only evidence of the struggle being the overturned furniture and the faint traces of blood. The police combed through the area, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, but there was no sign of Emily. The neighbors, still shaken, recounted the horrifying screams and the sudden silence that followed. It was as if Emily had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only questions and fear.
Serena, physically unharmed but forever scarred, retreated further into herself. The trauma of that night had left deep emotional wounds that no amount of time could heal. She avoided social interactions, fearing that the shadows of her past would catch up to her. Every creak of the floorboards, every unexpected noise sent her into a state of panic. Her once vibrant personality was now overshadowed by a constant sense of dread and paranoia. The digital world, once a source of connection, now felt like a hunting ground. Serena had always found solace in the online communities, but now every message, every notification felt like a potential threat. The anonymity of the internet, which once provided comfort, now seemed to harbor unseen dangers. She felt trapped in a digital maze, constantly looking over her shoulder, fearing that her past would catch up to her even in the virtual world.
The obsession that had consumed Emily served as a chilling reminder. Some lines, once crossed, can never be uncrossed. The flashing lights of the police cars, the flickering light in the upstairs window all served as a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked obsession. Emily's descent into madness had not only destroyed her own life, but had left a trail of devastation in its wake. It was a sobering lesson for everyone involved, a reminder of the thin line between passion and obsession, and the irreversible damage that can occur when that line is crossed.